Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for my review of the 2017 release Alien Covenant, directed by Ridley Scott and starring Michael Fassbender and Katherine Waterston. And it seems like there's a lot of mixed opinions on this film right now. And I have to say, unfortunately, I was a little bit disappointed in this film. I didn't expect a masterpiece like the first few Aliens films were, but I thought this film could have been a lot better, and I will go through the reasons why. But I would like to start with some positives first, because to be fair, there are a few good things about this film that make it watchable and not a complete disaster. And the main one of those things is Michael Fassbender and his excellent performance. I thought he was by far the most interesting character in the film, and he also gave the best performance in the film, and he's very entertaining throughout this movie. So if you are a fan, I recommend seeing the movie almost just for him alone, basically. The other acting's fine. Katherine Waterston is pretty good. I thought she did a good job. I didn't think she was given that much to work with. Her character could be fleshed out a lot more, but I thought she did okay. Everyone else is adequate, I guess. Most of the other characters really weren't given very much to do, in my opinion. The other really good thing about this film is that it's very nice to look at visually, as Ridley Scott movies usually are, and it's got really great gore effects. If you're into like just seeing kill scenes and gore, this film does a very convincing job. The alien designs are good as well. So with that out of the way, let me get into the several issues I have with this film, a few of them minor and a few of them pretty major issues. First of all, the plot and tone of this movie was kind of all over the place. It felt like this movie wasn't sure if it wanted to be Alien, Aliens, or even Prometheus, and I'll explain that further. This movie kind of started like it wanted to be a slow-built tension film like Alien. Then it kind of went into these, like action scenes like Aliens, and they don't really mix well together. You don't really get the tension because of the contrast in the action scenes. The whole thing just didn't blend well for me. Then the movie tries to get into some strange, like, philosophical drama, and the blending of all these things just doesn't really work that well together. I thought the movie would have been better served to stick with one style and stay with it. It almost seems like they tried to do too much here, which I applaud the effort, but it didn't work for me at all. My even bigger problem with this movie, and the problem I have with a lot of modern films, is that the characters do a lot of ridiculous, cliched things in this movie just to further the plot. They do things like, we know what's going on, but let's go off by ourselves. Things like that that just make absolutely no sense, and they're just there to further the story because the writers couldn't think of any other way to do it, basically. Another issue I had with this film is that it was too long. I actually thought the beginning was paced pretty well. The last 20 minutes of this movie completely flew off the handle for me. This is one of those movies I thought should have ended 2 or 3 times before it did. They just kept adding more scenes. It seems like there's some tacked on action just because it's a modern film, and they felt like they needed to put action scenes there, or people wouldn't approve or something. I don't know. There's also a couple of, I guess, what I would call attempted twists in the last 20 or so minutes of this movie, all of which are predictable. This whole movie is very predictable. You can almost predict the next scene before it happens, but this movie gets really kind of bogged down and messy in the last 20 minutes or so, and I really didn't buy the ending that much either. Although I guess from a storyline standpoint, the very ending fits the film, but it wasn't really that satisfying to me as a viewer because of what came before it. So, there are a few good things about this film. Michael Fassbender's really great. Some of the effects are good, especially the gore effects, like I said, if you're into that kind of thing. But this movie's all over the place and doesn't really know what it wants to be. And although I was slightly entertained by Alien Covenant, I can't really recommend it. If you're just going to this film to see, some good alien effects and scenes, you might enjoy this film better than I did. But it's just too messy for me to really recommend, and it goes on far too long, in my opinion. Also, the side characters aren't really developed that well either, which can be a problem in this series in some of the films. So I'm going to give Alien Covenant a 2 out of 5, and I can't recommend this film. I would say proceed at your own risk. So 2 out of 5 for Alien Covenant, and as always, thank you very much for watching.